welcome to Love Jones Connection. Thank you for joining me. On this show, we go over helpful dating and relationship tips. I am happily married, and I vividly remember singlehood and the process it took to get to my desired outcome, which was love, marriage, and a family. So if you are interested in that topic, definitely stay tuned. On today's show, we are going to talk about relocating for love. Are you single and maybe wondering if you should move to a new city or a new state? Would it even be worth it? And on today's show, we are going to go over a few cities that ranked well for singles. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Relocating falls into the category of stepping outside your comfort zone, which I briefly touched on in the 5 dating tips. If you haven't checked that out, that podcast, if you haven't checked it out, I will link it in the description box below. I believe that if you are in a location where things are just not progressing for you due to a lack of dating options, maybe you have outgrown a city or you just need a new start. If you are able to and you desire to relocate, go for it. I know it can be scary for some people because you have your routine, and thinking of disrupting that routine can be scary. However, do it scared. And I am speaking from experience. It can totally be worth it, especially if you are if you're single and you have no children. You have that level of freedom. Take advantage of that. If you have a desire to relocate, it could really work out well for you. Case in point, when I was single, I lived in a city and I believed it was time for me to move on. However, I had my job and my little condo keeping me in that location. And finally, I just got my nerve to go for it. I sold my home and I found a new job and moved to another location. And I am so glad that I took the chance and I stepped out on faith, because I ended up meeting my husband about a month after moving to my new location. So I'm just saying, sometimes stepping outside your comfort zone and relocating can actually end up working out for you. If that's something that you're considering, I want to encourage you to just start taking those steps and making plans to do that. I know it's a lot of work, but it can really work out for you in the end. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over a few cities that ranked well for singles. Okay, one of the cities that came up was actually Chicago. Chicago is the 3rd largest city in the U.S. About 50% of the adult population are single, never married. It also is home to dozens of colleges and universities, and the cost of living in Chicago may be more affordable compared to some other major cities. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. I know it can be very cold. If it's something that you can tolerate, then that may be a good fit for you. Okay, and then another city that came up was actually Houston. Houston can be great for singles. It has a low cost of living, and it's a huge city. There are a lot of people in Houston. It comes in right behind Chicago as the 4th largest city. Okay, and according to NerdWallet, the ratio for unmarried men to unmarried women is 115 to 100. And if you're living in Houston, you're actually not too far from some other major cities in Texas. For example, Dallas is 3.5 hours away, and then there's San Antonio, which is a 3-hour drive, about 3 hours from Houston. And so you could, if you're living in Houston, you could do a day trip to Dallas or a day trip to San Antonio, or just spend the weekend out there and then check that scene and see what you like, and see if it could be a good fit for you, or if maybe you meet someone and then you guys bridge the gap. And then another city that came up as being great for singles was actually Austin, Texas. Now, the ratio for unmarried men to unmarried women is actually 119 to 100. And the thing about these cities that I mentioned in Texas, they are great for families too. So if you're single and then you get married and you start a family, it is an area that you can grow into, where you can still be in a location that is family oriented as well. So that may work out for you, and it may be an option for you to consider. Now, another location that came up was actually Washington, D.C., okay, home to the HBCU, Howard University. Over 50% of the population have never been married. This is in Washington, D.C. Now, it does tend to have a higher cost of living. However, depending on what line of work you're in, salary ranges do tend to be higher to help compensate with that higher cost of living. And the thing about D.C. or the DMV area, which consists of Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Maryland, is you're actually not far off from New York. Like if you're in Maryland, you could do a 3-hour car ride to go to New York and visit in New York. Also, Philadelphia is not too far off. And so there are some options for you if you want to get out and you want to visit and see what's going on. That is a great fit for you in that regard, okay? So that's something to consider. Now, all of these cities could easily be debated. People may have a different experience in certain locations. Honestly, you really have to just find what city works for you and then just go from there. But if you have any insight that you would like to share, definitely comment below. You could help someone else. That is actually our show for today. I hope that it helps someone. Definitely be encouraged to step outside your comfort zone. It could really pay off in the end. If you have any questions, or if you have a topic that you would like to suggest for a future show, send an email to info@lovejonesconnection.com. Thank you again for joining me. Good luck to you.